Hello, anybody who's watching this, welcome to my reaction to the failure of Dashcon Q&A by Internet Historian. Is it on incognito mode? It is on incognito mode. But yes, this video is sponsored by Tom Vinton. Again, thank you a lot. And in the future video, or maybe a video after that, I will ask if it's worth recording a reaction for a Q&A for those videos. I think Dashcon has one, maybe Rainforest, which is spoilers, but it comes out. It was supposed to come out when this video comes out, which is for me tomorrow, but now it's not. Unless I fuck something up, which is a big possibility. But ask if it's worth it, so I guess judging by this donation, it is. So here I am. And if you want to be like Tom Vinton and hear me say your name over and over again with appreciation in my voice, I guess it sounds normal, but I still appreciate it. You can use the donation link in the description below, recommend me a video through that. And without further ado, let's start.
It's good.
It's not.
Can I at least choose my old lady picture?
No, you get the one that matches all the Harold stock photos.
Or does he have like a?
Yeah,
He has a proper one.
She's in like every Harold.
I thought you took his like real life wife.
No,
I don't know who that is.
You know, she's not a looker. I have no idea how
No, but
old
neither is-
Harold is, by the way.
neither-
Is he like 70 or?
I think he's in his early 60s.
Yeah, she's not terrible. He. It looks like she's giving him a hand
Yeah,
job.
no, it's Photoshop.
Oh.
This is the Q&A to the Dashcon video.
Yes.
I'm Internet Historian, and this is Internet Historian.
Hello.
Oh,
And we're going to go through
He
a
has a
lot of
missus.
the comments to the video because a lot of people
I
ask
didn't know
the
that.
same things.
good for him.
And we're going to try and answer some of the other questions. For example, did I ever find that DVD?
Does a girlfriend or wife? I don't
Should
know.
I just preempt
But
and
still good
say
for him.
before people asking this who I am?
Yeah.
Just
Who's the
I'm
woman?
not your sister, caretaker, kind of. I'm not your wife.
Okay.
Live-in girlfriend is what I'm thinking.
Living girlfriend?
That'll do.
Alive? Or together?
That just
Well,
answers-
we've been
that's
together
half the
for
question.
we've been together for about 45 years.
Oh.
Maybe it's time to settle down.
Nah.
Yeah, are they wearing wedding rings?
Sound
in
like
that
a
picture?
dearest?
No.
No, neither of them. All right, so
Just to get that out of the way. Okay, Dashcon. With these, I actually have taken screenshots of the actual questions, so
Question,
but they're just
jeez.
kind of the abridged version. So, why was it called Dashcon?
That's a good point.
oh, there's an interesting story behind this.
Well.
So
Okay.
the event started with a fundraiser on Indiegogo, and they wanted to raise $7,000, and they raised $4,000 only.
Okay.
And they actually set up the event under the name TumblrCon, and they got
That would
about
be
halfway
obvious.
through that campaign, and then it was either their lawyer or someone from Tumblr said to them, by the
I
way,
guess, yeah, it's
this is a
unofficial.
billion-dollar company, and you can't just use their trademark.
Yeah.
So they realized that they could be in serious trouble. So they changed the name from TumblrCon to Dashcon, Dash being the dashboard that you get on every sort of social media platform. So it
Oh,
became even
so
more
just
vague
Dash.
than the original far too open community of Tumblr. It's like saying, let's have a Facebook con. What are you going to do, invite 660 million people?
Maybe.
All right.
Let me show his face.
Alright, who was the official promoter? Like, I think they mean...
Oh.
Well, they mean... Because most conventions have sort of someone who, you know, gives it out to the public, I think. So who was behind the convention? Basically that group of people.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, yeah.
Who created it? Who brought it to the community?
It was a bunch of people who are a little bit prominent on Tumblr or who use Tumblr a lot or are big fans.
Were they prominent? They were known beforehand?
Sort of. They were. I think some of them are well known in the Super Who Lock community, which is a cross of
Supernatural Sherlock.
Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock Holmes.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
basically.
Okay.
Look, I don't want to say these people
I would have fit in, but I never wanted to, and
name
still
these
don't.
people's names, although you can find them pretty easily online.
I've never been on
They
Tumblr.
are they were at least at the time, mostly teenagers, 18, 19, and a couple people in their early 20s, and one girl in particular who seemed to really head everything, who was 32. although he had
Was she the
That's a big jump.
large and in charge one you see on the panel, or
No.
the redhead?
She was the redhead.
Okay.
There was no one who had any real or
damn it, I should have
substantial
opened the balcony.
experience running an event
sweat
like this,
now.
or really events in general. So it was no wonder that it was a disaster.
Well, most people have the sense to just start small, but they just
Yeah.
kind of went big guns straight away.
Immediately
just-
carried away, yeah, and just started spending.
Yeah. So the next one is $65 is pretty expensive for a brand new convention. Basically, was this a mistake? Did they have any justification given as to why it would be $65? I know it was sort of a weekend kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it was a combination of greed
A ball
and
pit.
naive optimism.
Ball pit
They
cost
thought, oh, we know
million.
how to do this, and we'll have so many people planning to come to this convention, and it's going to be so great because, we know everything. That they thought they could justify that price. Obviously, if you're going to start a new event, you've got to start small and then build up. Let a reputation build over time. People know that this is a good thing. Whatever. They didn't bother with any of that. They were just going to jump straight to this.
That's
is
exactly
fucking
what it seemed
Comic-Con
like.
too.
Even just working.
Like, let's say they got 9K out of it. They probably would have gotten more money to themselves if they didn't go that far. If they prepared better and then just didn't collect 17K but collected, I don't know, less, maybe it would be more chance of them to make a Dashcon 2015? It was 14, right?
Working on quality and going, this is what we'll have, this will be the space, this will be the max number of people, making it more exclusive, and then having them give good feedback for next year.
Could you imagine how well it would have been received if they had just made a modest convention and say they had sold out of tickets, and then people know next year you got to be in quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what a well thought out new convention I think would do, but greedy.
Yeah.
That's when you can start to jack up the price. But I think a lot of it came down to they started seeing cash coming in. They are very young, and then they would spend it, realize they're, hey, we're spending a lot of money. So they'd sort of justify it to themselves, and they'll go, oh, well, more people will come, or, oh, we're going to sell out, so it's fine. Oh, yeah, okay, we're spending like $80,000, but that's okay because we'll get this amount of money with absolutely no certainty that they ever would get.
So the next one is, how do you run a convention for such a
too much
niche
cost of
thing?
Concordia.
Don't they have to be very general things? The ones
Cost
I've
of
been to are
Concordia.
all sci-fi and anime, which I'm not sure why I included.
I missed that. Such a niche thing. General things. The ones I've been to all about sci-fi anime.
This question because if anything, it's the complete opposite. It's
Yeah,
like it's like a bit of everything, but
I sort of felt it was the other way around. It was far too broad.
yeah.
So you could
Yeah, I
have
didn't
a
feel that
convention for
that
Reddit,
was too small.
but if people go on all sorts of different subreddits, and it's
The
a
specific
very
ideas.
similar thing with Tumblr, although it's all done with tags and communities and whatnot. I don't know. I don't really use it, but
So maybe I'll just take that question and go, how did they get people to come if it's such a broad thing like Tumblr?
I think they just appealed to the most stereotypical type from their community. The young girls who are really into the handsome British boys, and all the shows that go along with that, the feminist stuff, the genderqueer stuff, all that business.
just little
They really
LGBT.
cared to with their speakers and their
Q,
talks
Q.
and everything else. It wasn't as though someone was
PA
suddenly going to show up,
plus.
with an aliens theme or an X-Men costume or whatever. People had an understanding of what the themes of the convention would be because they knew who was giving talks
Yeah.
or what other people were doing.
I'd love to know that how they chose, because when I actually think about it, I have no idea. Like, you see people dressed up and you go, what the hell is that? And yeah, having sort of the gay, lesbian, I'm not even going to try and attempt that acronym.
I can do this one off by
I
heart.
know you can. Go ahead. But you have to say what they are too, which no one knows.
Oh no, I know what they all are. It's LGBTQIP2SAA+.
I'll take your word. You could be lying and no one's going to pick you up on it because no one cares. to look it up.
Lesbian, bisexual, trans. Oh, I forgot gay.
I'm gonna cut this whole
Q
section.
is queer, and then the other Q is... Oh no, I forgot.
BBQ.
Questioning, I
What's
remember.
that extra Q?
Q. The other Q is for questioning.
Yes.
I is intersex. P is
Pansexual.
penis. No, I can't. Oh fuck.
My point was, it seems completely random to have, okay, we love these TV shows. Let's throw in some LG whatever, LGBT, I don't know, okay,
LGBTIQ.
panels.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, there's a. They had in one panel a guy, Mark is here, and
He's queer. Get used to it.
yeah. Well, he was the Mexican gay dude who they thought was a straight white male talking on the panel, and they were
They were
giving
mean to him.
They were giving him death threats.
My
Jesus.
point is, what's the thinking behind what you choose? Sex and then TV shows, and then some
Yeah.
guys dressed up as the devil, and there's like Night Vale and steampunk, and
Yeah, and like there's a
Where's the devil
BDSM
from?
panel at one point, and there's
yeah, it's like, why? Because all gay and lesbian and
'cause-
trans and things want to do BDSM too. That's like a whole different
'Cause they're
subset
all-
of people.
yeah.
Wait, where's the devil from? Is it representing one of the letters of LGBTQ and so on? Because it's not supernatural. Any kind of demon there is pretty much a human. Like inside a human body, whatever. Semantics of the show. Doctor Who doesn't really have that. Had something similar, but not that kind of guy. Maybe it is that. I don't know. And what's Sherlock? It's just humans. Okay,
I
whatever.
mean, it might intersect, but why? What was the actual question?
How do you run a convention? Something so niche.
You should.
yeah, that's right. I think if you're gonna run a convention, make it fucking specific.
Yeah.
Make it niche.
Especially if it's new.
Next question is...
Like you can make something niche, like just LGBTQ and like focused on like supernatural and some TV series would be like a weird progression from both sides. But say you start with just supernatural, it might be LGBTQ because it's Tumblr, and then you maybe next year, but they didn't care about that, I guess. Like next year you can add like Sherlock, you can add Doctor Who, and like so on. Just make it bigger, instead of just everything immediately.
Steam-powered giraffe is
That's kind of
there?
what happened to DCU.
No, never. They never even signed an agreement to show
I don't know
up.
who that is.
Although that didn't stop Dashcon from advertising it on all of its marketing materials and charging
Steam-powered
extra
giraffe.
fees for tickets to the concert.
Looked pretty cool.
Steam-powered giraffe never showed up and never agreed to go.
I think I know where
Which
that
is the
avatar
first
is
sort of
from.
point where you go,
Maybe.
I mean, they could
Like the
sue you for using
line
their
of
material and
comics.
saying that they'll show up, because then it looks like they haven't
Possibility.
shown up to something, and that's sort of defamatory. And you know, there's so many things these people should have been sued for,
Yeah, well,
especially in America.
Well, every time something went wrong, they immediately deflected blame onto someone else. But
course they
it
did.
wasn't just that. It was no one knew that steam-powered giraffe wasn't coming until people showed up on the day, and then they would go, "Oh, right, I'm ready for my steam-powered giraffe concert. I've been excited for weeks." And then they go, "Oh, sorry, it's cancelled." Anyway,
Who the hell is
all
steam-powered
that sort of-
giraffe?
And that was basically how it went.
So that sort of also leads on to, I think, who did show up that they said would show up, which ended up being no one, I guess.
So Welcome to
Musical
Night Vale
band.
showed up, and they actually fulfilled about
Okay.
half of their contract. Oh, not they didn't have a proper contract, but they fulfilled
So know
half
who
of
they
their
are
act.
now. More or less.
So on the Friday, they were supposed to come in and do signings for these 100 people who had won like a raffle sort of arrangement, and they went in and they did that, and they hadn't even received payment at that point. They were supposed to receive the funds well in advance, but that's Dashcon management for you.
But don't these acts have managers?
Yeah.
Like that's why you have a manager, is to get a contract and agreement. That's probably why they couldn't sue, is if they didn't have an actual contract and they've just gone, yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe
You know,
word on
these
word,
aren't huge
word
acts,
for word
so
basis.
some of these things they consider as just binding through emails or or something else, or they they have a lot of goodwill, especially to new conventions. So they think if someone says, oh, look, I'll pay you on this date, as soon as you arrive at the convention, we will pay you. I don't want to say the amount of money, although you can find out how much it was. I think it's a bit unfair for me to say. We will pay you X amount in cash the moment you show up, and then they just don't. How can you prevent that happening sometimes?
Yeah, and especially if you've already seen the fans and seen people who are excited, you don't want to be that jerk who's like, well, we're not getting paid for this, so we're out. But you still have to feed yourself.
It's like the thing in the wasn't a food video on incognito mode where McDonald's ice machine is broken, but you're already there, so you might as well buy something else. Like that kind of tactic. It's kind of the same thing. You already showed up, you're already there, people saw that you were there. So they try to feast on that kind of insecurity of letting down your fans or whatnot.
Too, and didn't they stopped a European tour just to be there?
Yeah, so it was absolutely shocking. So they had booked a European tour. They cancelled that halfway through so that they could come back to the United States and do this convention. So they get to the convention. They are supposed to be paid in cash the moment they show up, and they're supposed to be given...
It has to be a gigantic sum of money, doesn't it? If you're already on tour, you're already being like paid by the tickets and whatnot, but just cancel that, immediately fly back from Europe to United States to this. It had to be a giant fucking cash bag.
Given a complimentary room, I think food as well, and they're supposed to have all their travel expenses reimbursed.
Oh,
Which from Europe to America, I don't know about how expensive it would be, but certainly from Europe to Australia is a lot. I know they're closer, but it's still a long trip.
And there's a few of them too. It's not like there's two people. It's
there's like six or
seven, I think, including the management.
Jeez.
So these aren't unsubstantial amounts. And then the day comes when they actually show up. So they do their signing on the Friday, fulfill that obligation without pay. They should have been paid already. They stay in the hotel room, and I think they only get like 1 or 2 hotel rooms when they need more. So there's people sleeping on couches. It's ridiculous. And then I know one of them sleeps in atrocious conditions.
Usually a hotel only allows a certain number of people per room, and they'll give you a cot or something. Yeah. I don't think they'd actually let.
No, they were all full up. They were all full up on that.
Especially like the Marriott,
yeah.
When you book a hotel room, there's a max per room.
Yeah.
That way they get more room sales. So unless they snuck someone in, which is easy.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I remember, but some of them were sleeping in atrocious conditions. So when they did arrive on that Friday, by the way, the Dashcon staff took them to the front desk and they put the Dashcon credit card at the front desk, saying, "Hey, look, here, this is all comped, no problem." The Saturday that. Yeah, go on.
I was just picturing like a piece of cardboard with scribbled on Dashcon.
They have the event on Saturday that's coming up, and the management is still saying, "We'll get the cash to you soon. We'll get the cash to you soon. Yeah, we'll reimburse you. We'll reimburse you." Then, like 1 o'clock happens when the fucking event's supposed to start. They still haven't paid, and so Welcome to Night Vale goes, "Well, we're not complete fucking suckers. We're not going to do this and then be promised to be paid afterwards when you've fulfilled none of your obligations so far." So they said, "You get the cash to us now before we go on stage, or we walk." And because of the event the night before, where they had to raise $17,000 and most of it involved cash they had on hand,
I'm going to open the balcony.
They couldn't pay them, and they couldn't go to the bank for some reason, apparently. So Welcome to Night Vale walked. Everybody's disappointed. And then when Welcome to Night Vale checks out of the hotel, surprise, surprise, someone has pulled the credit card from the front desk. So they get lumped with the bill. I think it's also important to mention that it wasn't just Welcome to Night Vale who had this sort of trouble. The Baker Street Babes were also left out in the cold with all of their expenses. They threatened to sue on Twitter. It's not entirely confirmed whether they receive their hotel expenses back from the organizers.
I'm back.
Yeah, so I think they were fairly level-headed, and they tried to be as good about it as anyone could be. But you'd be fucking fuming.
That was a mistake.
So online, everyone knows what's happened.
Everything's working.
And
You didn't break
the
the wire?
Dashcon people are really getting shit on, and the people from Welcome to Night Vale showed an enormous amount of
I'll run it
patience
all over the
with
chair.
them. But exactly
3
what
times.
happened at the convention happened to them in the aftermath as well. So they would say, yeah, look, we're really sorry about what happened, but we do owe you reimbursement for XYZ travel expenses, yada, yada, yada. And then they would just never pay it. And it was like every day they were supposed to be sent this money, and they just kept not paying it. And after a while, yeah, they were getting pretty fucking fed up. So they were on Twitter, and they were like, this is a con. This is fraud.
My guess is unless they were going to
It
say
is
we're
a con,
going
it's
to sue you
Dashcon.
or here's some papers, or then you'd go, oh shit, they're serious. But otherwise, they
I'm
have
serious.
no
Topics on
claim,
this
really.
channel.
Yeah.
That's why you have contracts.
The problem is a lot of these amounts are just so small
not worth
that you can't do anything. It's still their livelihood, but they're small amounts. And I tell you, one of the things they did pay for in their expenses was a lawyer. And so a lot of this stuff, they could just say to their contract lawyer, you know, how much trouble are we really in?
You mean the Dashcon people
The
had a lawyer?
Dashcon people had a lawyer.
Really?
Yeah,
Did he do anything?
apparently.
Didn't draw up any contracts or
Well,
anything?
they didn't get sued.
I
Okay,
guess,
so that leads
yeah.
pretty well into the next question. Did anyone sue the convention? Because
Like
it seems like
rangers.
that's something someone must have done.
No, there was no lawsuit. I think we're still talking in amounts that are just too small to be worthwhile. No, there was no lawsuit.
I guess that's what the picture is from. I noticed it when I was watching Dashcon, but it's Sherlock, Castile, and I guess Doctor. That looks more like the Bill Nye. But sure. I guess it's 11th. Matt Smith, anyway. And I guess LGBTQ so on person. LGBTQ plus, right?
Lawsuit. I think we're still talking in amounts that are just too small to be worthwhile. I think in total, the expenses for the entire convention were probably less than $100,000. Lawyers' fees for something like this could easily top that.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
I think
what
the
do you
only
do?
person who was going to sue them, if it came to it, would have been the Marriott if they hadn't have paid their bill, because they had a contract. 40 grand is a lot of money,
Yeah, you bet
But they
would
did
have
pay.
collected.
but everyone else, it's just not worth their time.
Just
What
have
are a
to
bunch of kids
take the
gonna do
money
anyway?
from
Yeah. Next question.
people.
It's pretty much the same as the last question, really. Why haven't they been charged with fraud? I think that's more to do with the donations and I forget what the charity was called, but the fact that they said that
Random acts.
Random Acts. They said that they had a partnership with Random Acts, but they didn't. So presumably Random Acts never got any money, even if it was donated, but we don't really know what was donated.
That's right. So, I think there's only really two cases where you can say it's fraud. So,
Okay.
fraud has a fairly specific legal definition. It's not as though they didn't hold a convention. They held an extraordinarily shitty convention. The two things that could be deliberate acts of fraud were the steam-powered giraffe, still having that on their marketing materials, although that could just be misleading marketing, and then the charity Random Acts, if they really did just collect that money. They have enough of an excuse, though, for the charity, in that they did fill out the online form, but they certainly didn't have any recognized partnership with them, and it is not known whether a single penny went to the charity, although it is known that some donations were made. So where that money's gone, it might only be a few $100, it might even be less. No one knows. But it was in cash, so it's impossible to track anyway.
Yeah.
Random acts, by the way, it's just like you have a couple of these bins around the place, and you do random acts of kindness. So you just put in cash when you see them if you feel like it. But of course, no one has any cash left because they just donated it all.
Maybe they went, okay, the random act of kindness today is going to be paying our fees so we can get
They're
our
paying us
patrons
17K.
some actual content.
Just imagine you
Doesn't
come
actually
to
say what the
Comic
random
Con
act
and then
will be.
they say, "Oh, we don't have enough money
Did
to
the
pay."
organizers really walk out without any consequences at all? I don't think
place.
there were real consequences, though. I think they were anonymous enough that they just were shunned in the Tumblr community. So what?
Well, yes and no. I mean, they were all over the bloody news too.
Were they?
Oh,
There were tons of articles written about the failure of Dashcon.
Yeah.
So
There's no
you
accusation.
imagine that you're 18, 19, 20.
I don't know if it's written in
and
video or now.
People are just shitting on you for weeks.
Yeah, but people forget.
I don't think they do. You don't talk about it because it's still old. But if someone says Dashcon, it still brings a whole lot of things to mind. And if someone ever said, "Oh yeah, I was one of the organizers of Dashcon," and then they
stoned.
said, "Hey, I heard you guys at a convention coming up. Do you mind if I help out?" You go, "Fuck off."
I have experience. Does anyone know where I can find the...
To be honest, I probably would hire that person to ask what they did and not do anything. Just do exact opposite of what they've done before. Just ask them specifically what they've done. Hire them for a day and then fire them, paying them like $10.
the full video of the guy trolling Dashcon? So the apparently very anti-Semitic guy who filmed all the
the
good
Israeli.
Yeah,
which I don't know is a joke or...
No, it's all a
Really?
joke.
He's kidding. Okay.
Yeah, no. I actually linked to his channel in the description, so you can find it there. But it's not in one video. It's actually all broken into lots of little pieces. So you might have a little bit of trouble tracking it down, but you'll be able to find it there on his channel.
Cool.
He's a fucking funny dude. He's on the Discord sometimes as well, so feel free to jump in.
Did someone actually
What
piss
Discord?
in the ball pit?
Historian Discord?
It's not confirmed. So the story goes, because you can't just sit there and piss yourself in the pit. It's not going to work. You can't just whip your dick out.
Well, if you're
the
on your
story
belly.
is that a couple of people from 4chan went to the convention. Apparently the modus operandi was that they went to the bathroom with a water bottle, pissed into the water bottle, and then when they went into the ball pit with it, it was like, just sort of let it leak out in the corner. But it's not entirely confirmed. It is known that the ball pit deflated. It is known that by Sunday they didn't even bother trying to bring it back. Who knows? But
Doesn't an MO... Sorry, just for clarity. An MO is something done several times. So what's the guy's MO? That's what I thought. It had to be sort of a serial thing.
Don't care.
Yeah.
How many things has he pissed in this manner?
I don't know.
It's his
Something
usual
specific, but
style.
yes.
Yeah, okay. Did you ever find the
Alright.
DVD? This gets asked on different videos.
Oh god,
This was
every
asked-
day.
I think I took 13 screenshots of this question and then I just stopped because they all just asked it. Go ahead.
This is the situation where you
So, it's hard to get confirmation either way, but the most likely outcome is that it was never made. So, after they saw what kind of disaster it was, what was the point in making this DVD? That being said, here's what we do have. There was a photography studio that was going to be hired for the making of the DVD.
Okay, but
That
was it?
was already organized, and we know the name of that photography studio.
Ooh.
We also know that there are many cameramen working with many cameras in different places throughout the convention. So a lot
That
of
probably would have
the
been on
panels
DVDs.
were recorded. That footage, that raw footage, exists somewhere out
not
there,
on DVD
unedited,
version.
unprocessed, but still probably thoroughly entertaining. So the bounty goes unclaimed. I'm happy to double it to $200.
Wow.
And if someone can find a couple of hours of good raw footage, I'd be happy to pay it. You can see some of the people who had cameras in the original Friday video, which is when they're asking for the $17,000. There's like 5 people up on the stage standing around there with cameras. A lot of them were recording the panels as well. So we know it exists. We don't know where it is. The DVD itself, never produced. Someone got in touch with me on YouTube and claimed to have been in a relationship with one of the main organizers of the event. And they described in some detail some of the mismanagement of the convention itself and why things went so poorly.
Okay.
And to sum it up, as soon as they started receiving money, they started spending it. So just extraordinary financial mismanagement. They would book hotel rooms for themselves on little trips for no reason whatsoever. pretending as though it was a business expense. They would have expensive lunches where they would get together and try to organize things, but you don't need to do that. A couple of them were paying themselves a small salary. They were just spending too much on things that didn't matter, especially for a first-time convention. So they must have spent well over $1,000 just on things like the VIP lanyards and wristbands and access paraphernalia, the stuff you wear on you. Yeah, to make sure you can get in. When, a stamp or a ticket would do, but they wanted to be fancy. But by the time the convention happened, they had no fucking money. And, they probably intended to have...
I'm gonna praise myself a little bit and say that I have a good management with money. Well, when it's not on my card yet. For example, this video is donated, and that donation will stay on the account in case something goes wrong, so I can return the money if I fuck up. Or maybe we can resolve the problem as we did previously with Tom, specifically. But until I'm done with the video, until I'm happy that it was recorded fully, it's processed, it's uploaded. It might not be public yet, but it's uploaded. So everything went smoothly up to that point. Then I can do anything with it. Anything I want is what I mean. That looks weird in this thing. Anyway. That's a good management strategy.
Ball pit. And they had already booked out the bouncy castle beforehand, so they did have that. But they went, we got $20. What do we do? How do we create this ball pit? Jump down to Walmart, get a couple bags of balls and an inflatable pool. Yeah, sounds good.
But it didn't even look like a new pool. It looked like something they had brought from home and then put some balls in it.
Yeah,
it looked
from someone's
gross.
yard. Yeah. Found in a swamp, just floating around.
Yeah. But just a disclaimer on that, we've never verified this person. It just seemed like he had a lot of detail I thought was interesting to mention, but there's no way of knowing if any of that is true.
Yeah, I know the guy's name as well.
It could just be complete BS because he saw the video and wanted to, why would he reach out? But I could see that happening, but speculation.
Well, he reached out because he wanted to correct some things. So he also disputed some of the numbers that I came to at the end of the video.
Okay.
Which I think is fair to say. So, one question that I wanted to address that we haven't got written down here is a lot of people said, and this drove me nuts, 350 times 20 is not 700, it's 7,000. And I know that, but it also says in the video, 10% of the people in this room. So I calculated the room as 350 people, and about 10% of that room, so 10% of 350
you just didn't put it in the
35 people.
Equation.
So 35 people we think donate.
I didn't give a shit enough to
That's
point
why
that
I didn't
out.
want to address it because my thought is if it's answered in the video, I'm not going to address it.
I get that I talk quickly though, that sometimes the music can be a little loud. Yeah.
Because most people go,
It's just
you see that.
So many people said it. That being said, there may have been more cash donations than that. Okay, what does that really mean? They might not have pocketed 9,000, they might have only pocketed 5,000 or something. But it still means they pocketed thousands of dollars. The online donations that were given is how they received most of their money. And they were able to do that because not just the people in the room were giving via PayPal, but people online were giving by PayPal. That's how they were able to raise so much money so quickly. Because everyone's watching on Tumblr.
They just posted on
People
Tumblr or
watching
maybe on Twitter.
And they go, fuck, we got to help these people out. This
2014 Discord wasn't
That's
a thing,
before
but
they
maybe
really
something else was as
understand
well.
how bad this thing is and how much it is the management's fault. Also, here's a little tidbit. The management is always blaming someone else. And they said of the hotel staff, the reason that the convention was going to be shut on the Saturday and the Sunday wasn't because they hadn't paid the $20,000 that was owed by contract, but because they were racist, sexist, homophobes. And, they had it in for the guests there. So they just wanted more money. And it was just such an absolute lie. And it was also one of the reasons why people donated so much, because they saw it as fighting
Hate
bigotry
crime.
or something.
No. as if they care what the convention is.
Yeah.
They let you have BDSM stuff. They don't care.
They don't
I'm
give a-
sure they
Yeah.
hold all sorts of weird shit there, but they want the money for it.
Weird shit that
These
casts
convention
this
places
thing.
will book a BDSM convention next to a
This?
wedding. They
This?
don't care.
Yeah, Marriott's hosted
Okay.
adult conventions.
Yeah.
And if you've got a contract, you just go, well, you can't do that. Here you go.
Stupid.
Yeah, it was an out and out lie. And I thought actually that was probably the most egregious thing
Yeah.
in some ways, because they were smearing the name of the hotel when
Yeah.
actually the hotel had really given them a break by
Yeah.
saying, hey, look, we'll do this
Yeah.
verbal agreement. You can pay.
Yes,
us
right off
whatever
the
we can."
bat, the hotel was on their side. They wanted
that's
to help.
all the questions
Got only
I
half
sort of found
amount
about Dashcon. Did
payment.
you want to say anything else? Or-
The chance of
Yeah.
them never
Yeah,
paying. Well, I
actually.
guess it could be sued.
Was there another attempt at a Dashcon? Yes.
Really?
There was nearly a Dashcon 2015.
Dashcon 2.
Yeah.
Boogaloo. Yeah. So essentially what happened was I think there was a small profit, and the people who owned Dashcon LLC decided, look, let's give this another go despite the enormous backlash. But they were smart enough to realize that they couldn't just do the exact same thing. So they changed the state and tried to hide their identity when they
That's
started the
mermaid.
second Dashcon.
But it was still called Dashcon?
Yes, in the very beginning. Immediately they started getting death threats. Where's my fucking money?
Okay.
So they went, oh fuck, okay. We'll call it EmojiCon.
Oh my god.
No, it gets better. Don't you worry. The exact same thing happened as the beginning with the Indiegogo campaign. Hey, EmojiCon is already a trademarked thing. You can't just take that.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Like
So-
the word emoji is trademarked?
EmojiCon is, for sure. So they changed the name to Emoticon, which sounds like something out of fucking Metal Gear Solid. And they said it in, I can't remember, I think it was New Mexico?
Everyone does their second round of these things in New Mexico, it seems.
Like a
Interesting
different
choice.
part of the country. People realized that it was still the same people involved, and again, they received a bunch of death threats and what the fuck are you doing? They still started their Indiegogo campaign. They're still receiving angry emails. They started selling tickets.
Did they get any money on Indiegogo?
They got, yes, they got a little bit of money from Indiegogo, and
How much?
they sold a couple of pre-sale tickets, and then they went, nah, fuck this. This isn't gonna work, and they shut it all down.
But did they return the money for the tickets they sold?
Absolutely
Of
not.
course not.
Of course not. Why?
So they liquidated the company. Dashcon LLC ceased to exist in 2015, and they sold all of their furniture on Craigslist and all that sort of stuff. And
What do you mean?
they haven't held a convention since.
They sold their furniture.
Oh no, like they didn't go homeless or anything.
Oh.
Well, sorry. What I mean is, sometimes you end up not renting everything. You buy things, or you
Oh, you
whatever.
mean like maybe
you
they
end
had
up-
an office or a...
Yeah, like no, you end up with like a bunch of assets sometimes left over after a convention. You might have 5,000 paper cups or something, and they sold all of that, and they liquidated the company. But when they liquidated the
suddenly
company, I believe
connected
it
with the
was insolvent, so the liabilities outweighed their assets. So who knows? Maybe it all ends well. Maybe they did lose money, and
We can only hope.
yeah. That'd be nice. Alright, so that's Dashcon. That's the Q&A. We're going to try to cover all of the other videos as well, because there's always so much more that happens
Yeah.
that never makes it in. I appreciate you checking out the Patreon.
Seems that way.
We've got a couple of reward tiers now. So the first one is, if you come join the Discord, you get a Discord rank, and you can access the latest video on the main channel a day early. Although if somehow that starts being shared out or something, because a lot of my videos end up on Facebook and
Instantly on Reddit. So
yeah, and
I'm not
places.
sure how
so,
it'll work out. But
yeah, so if that
trying
starts,
that.
yeah, if that starts happening, then I'll just have to release it. But
There's other stuff in the top tier, in the first tier too, though. So
It's
even
just
if
day
that
early.
doesn't work at some point, there's other stuff in it, and maybe
Yeah.
you'll
Like-
add something else if it has.
Just fucking day early. Come on. Like, people could just wait one more day, but if you get, like, if you want to support, like, with this thing, and get a day early, it's a nice, like, a little bit of a present, but everybody else can wait a day.
Has to be taken away, but
Yeah,
At
that's
the
right.
moment, we're trying that.
Yep. And also, if you know, there's a second tier as well where we have like a bi-weekly movie night thing with all the patrons, and we jump on YouTube and we have like this. We use SciTube, I think it is, and it's like all synced together so we can
That's pretty
watch
cool.
like really shitty Lifetime movies and The Room. Yeah, look, I'm trying to do
That's
this
pretty cool.
full time, and eventually I'd like
When
to,
this video came
get
out,
to a point where
2017, probably
I
not.
can not just sustain myself
He's
full
not
time, but I
doing
can
that
bring on
anymore.
a second person, and that would actually be a historian just with me.
I
And
have done a tiny bit, but 99.9% of everything is you, but I edit a little bit.
oh, like, no, you do all these QAs, and
Well, they're not difficult to do.
still, I appreciate it. Yeah, so that would mean that we would
nice.
be able to come up with videos more often, and yeah, we have some pretty substantial long-term goals for that. So yeah, check it out if you want to check it out. So if you have any other questions, leave a comment, and then I'll probably pick it up.
Yeah, leave it in the comment for that video, because we definitely, even if there's 5,000 comments on that thing already, we go through all of them.
Yep.
So yeah, leave your comment and
2.5.
Yep.
I'm gonna be Dashcon.
hopefully you don't mind listening to my voice. I know it's not as smooth as the historians, but he didn't
Nothing
like
is
talking to
smooth
himself.
as historian's voice.
So I'll be possibly in the next one.
I wish I had that voice. That would be fun.
Well, I spend
So
my
I have
day
this,
walking around talking to the
whatever
cat in a
this
baby
is.
voice, so.
Weird accent, weird voice. Everything's weird. Rainforest Q&A. Probably gonna do that in the future. Or especially if somebody recommends it to me through the donation link in the description below. But anyway, that cleared up a little bit of things, but not much. I expected more questions for 35 minutes. But it was more like a very, very big answer for one question. But I don't mean that as a whole video. I'm like in like second question or third one. Like a whole rant for 5-10 minutes. But still, it's still a good video. Only Q&A. Is there anything else recommended? No? With Q&As. What is this? Oh yes, 100 just for the Game of Thrones thingy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Need to watch that as well at some point. And Monsters 2. And Queenie 2012 maybe. And probably Q&A for it. Which one's this? I watched that and I watched this. So, I know new place, but that's for myself, probably. And Game Grumps too. Anyway, this is an interesting video, an interesting kind of different pace, incredibly different pace for a normal video. And like hearing just the story in a normal habitat is also a change of pace. Like he's more normal in incognito mode because they just talk with somebody. But hearing him talk in like a domestic setting with his beloved, I guess, it's just nice. It's just very nice. So, thank you anybody who watched this. Thank you again, Tom, for recommending this to me 5 hours ago. And I hope to see everybody next time. Goodbye. Have a great life. You know why? Because one of us has to. Why did I say it that way? I don't know. Sue me. Don't sue me.